You play Daisy in the all-new Saved by the Bell reimagination. This series is brilliant. It's so loved, and it's obviously based off of an incredibly iconic series. To start us off, tell me a little bit about Daisy and her character.
Well, I play Daisy Jimenez, and she is this ambitious, passionate Latina student who is excited to go to Bayside, right? She's gonna have all these amazing opportunities at her ready, but she realizes that when she gets there, um, the way the school is structured um, doesn't actually allow the Douglas kids to have access to these, right? So from day one, she's like, I need to fight for us. I need to make sure we feel welcomed and we are able to access these resources. So you kind of see that journey from her, like day one, not really enjoying it, but then overcoming so many obstacles that she faces throughout the series and continuing to strive for the better, for the school to change so it can be equal to everyone. And it's so funny because I learned so much from my character. I'm although I play this character, I learn from her and I see how, no matter what she faces, she's always able to overcome and continue to just keep pushing.
Tell me a little bit more about what you learned from Daisy. I think that's so brilliant.
You know, I grew up in a very supportive household, but just like Daisy, we come from low income situations. But I saw that no matter what, I compare myself a lot to Daisy and, what are the similarities between us? What are the differences? And I realized that school is such an amazing tool, right? I mean, you go to school and you have these people who actually want to help you, who want to teach you, who want you to grow. And I think I never took advantage of that the way I should have. So being able to play this character, it was almost like living like vicariously through her and being able to be the student that I could have been, right, if I wasn't so focused on acting. Um, but definitely, being able to see that, no matter what, you can overcome so many things. And I know I've overcame so many things, but the way she goes about it is so graciously and it's just so smart. And I love that about her. And I take some notes and implement that in my personal life.
Absolutely. Daisy's an incredibly inspiring character. The story behind her is incredibly inspiring, and just the way you kind of go about her and play her is absolutely beautiful. What do you want viewers to take away from this role in your performance? What message do you want to send?
Specifically speaking to like the young Latinx community, young girls, I want them to be inspired by Daisy. I want them to know that they can be anything they want to be. That, some people are going to have these preconceptions of who you are and there's nothing you can really do about it, but to stay authentically you and give love and do things to teach people, not to treat them the same way maybe they've made been treating you. But also I want them, as soon as they turn the TV off, to have these conversations that are hard to have, to say like, we come from an unfortunate situations. What can I do to like further my career or something? But also for people who are not in these, like for people who come almost like from the Bayside side, to say like, what could we do to help these kids and how can we pay it forward? Just to have these very uncomfortable conversations and want to almost like, get into the mix of things and see what's out there and see what they can do to help. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that answer. What was your process like in preparing for this role? Saved by the Bell is obviously such an iconic show. How did you go about adapting it for a modern audience in the form of your character?
When I read Daisy's description for the initial audition, the breakdown, I related to her so much that I knew that I wanted to kind of put my own twist to it. In a sense, I didn't want to imitate what the original series was, right? Because I knew it wasn't going to be like that. I knew it was a reimagined version. And I knew that they were shedding light on today's day and age and what the kids are going through today with social media. So I knew that this was in my ballpark. I knew I shouldn't change anything. I should give myself to that character. And when I did that, it felt right. It felt like that was the missing piece to Daisy, to, just be myself and bring my upbringings, my struggles into Daisy's struggles as well, and kind of create that relationship where, in a sense, we're almost one and not two separate people. So, yeah. Yeah.
It's a really beautiful way to look at it. I feel like that kind of attitude really helps people to understand and relate with your character, which I think you do so beautifully. What was the filming process like? Tell me about that dynamic that you guys had on set.
My cast is amazing. I just want to start there. We day one of the table read, you know, I Alicia and Josie already knew each other from a previous project, but it almost felt like we all knew each other from like our childhood, because after the table read, we went out to Aroma Cafe and we had this beautiful lunch and we sat there for hours and we were just talking about, you know, where we come from, our upbringings, what are we into. And I think that definitely showed on screen, and it was just a bunch of laughs on set. Like there was never a time where I walked into set and felt uneasy or felt like I had to walk on eggshells around them. It was fun, it was comedy all the time. I mean, Josie makes everyone laugh. She's incredible at what she does. um, and it was just a great time, and I'm hopeful for a season 2 because I want that again. I want to be around these people because they make me feel good, and they're just the best cast, and they're so brilliant at what they do. They're all amazing.
That's so beautiful. I love to hear stuff like that. Watching the series back, do you have a favorite part or any favorite moments that stick out to you about it?
My favorite moment, and I think this will remain my favorite moment for a while, would be in the pilot when I'm talking to Mac and Lexi and I'm telling them how the chips are stacked so high in their favor that people like me never even had a chance. And when I said those words in the audition and on set, those were actual tears, and those, it wasn't something I had to act. It was kind of like I was speaking about my experience in the acting industry or my experience really in anything. So that part right there, it just, I related to so much, and it means so much. It like it's so close to my heart and meant so much to me being able to speak those words as Daisy, but also knowing that it's going to be broadcasted to all these young Latinx girls that can relate to it. So it was just so many layers to that monologue that I'm saying that it just literally means the world to me. So I think that would forever be my favorite scene. Although it's like crying and it's almost like sad, but in a way it's also, in a twisted way, it's also like inspirational, the fact that, you know, she overcomes so many things.
Amazing. You mentioned a few things about, the auditions. Tell me a little bit about that process and what kind of drew you to this project.
Um, Obviously, you know, the fact that Daisy is a Latina woman, or a Latina young girl that, you know, although she comes from these, you know, this low income household, the fact that she knows that if she works hard, if, you know, no matter what comes into her way, that she's going to overcome it, and she's going to be, you know, she has all these dreams and aspirations. That drew me to her, right? Because that's like, oh, that's me. I have so many dreams. I have so many aspirations. I know if I do this, I can become something. Um, but also the fact that the showrunners, who the people who were attached to this project, and the fact that it was Saved by the Bell, like my parents grew up watching it, and I knew it was going to touch so many people. It has such a great audience, and it has so much nostalgia. And I think, you know, the show did such a great job. When I read the script, the show did such a great job at what they were bringing to the table, and I think that was different for TV, right? You don't really see that. And that initially drew me to the project, and I knew that it was going to be a success from the beginning. Like maybe I was a little optimistic, but I knew that it has so much potential to grow in so many different avenues to, like, you know, go through, because the cast was diverse. I read everyone's breakdown, right? Because I was like, I want to know more about this project. So I really dug deep and I did my research and I asked my agent questions. So that initially drew me to the project, the fact that it was so diverse. But the process of the audition was crazy. I mean, I'm originally from New York. Right now I'm in LA because of the show, but I did a self tape. I sent it out. I put everything I could into that character, and I sent it out and I let it go. And I said, look, if this is meant for me, it'll be. I hear back, my agent is like, in 2 days, they're gonna fly you to LA to test. And I was like, what? I've never been to LA. What do I pack? Do I bring a coat? I mean, how cold is it? It can get really hot. Do I bring a bikini? Like, what's gonna happen? And she's like, okay, you're gonna go. They're gonna fly you out, and you're gonna audition at Universal. It's literally my first time in LA was like the biggest project of my life, right? So I was like, it was a little overwhelming, but in a good way. And I was nervous, but I knew that I wanted this character so much, and I knew I wanted to play this role so much. So I kind of put all those fears in the back of my head. And if they came to the front of my brain, I was like, I'm going to use it and use it to my advantage. But then I ended up leaving. I didn't hear anything back. I felt really good in the audition room, but I didn't hear anything back. And literally at like 9 p.m. my time in New York, they were like, we need to see your comedy. And I was like, what? I was just in LA. You should have asked me that when I was there. And I was like, I can bring comedy to the table. And then I had to take this like 40 minute train ride because to an audition studio in the city to show them my comedic side. And I was, because of the flying and I wasn't accustomed to flying for that long, I got a cold and my voice was raspy and I wasn't feeling the best. But as soon as the camera turned on for the audition, I was like, I'm feeling great. And then once we finished the audition, I was like, pass me a tissue, you know? So I powered through that whole audition. And I mean, just like my character Daisy, we powered through anything, and look at us now. So I think it's beautiful.
That is so beautiful. I feel you with the LA thing. I'm from New York too. Never knowing what to pack.
Are you in New York now?
Yes, I am. Snowing here. So it's probably not snowing by you.
Northeastern? Aren't you supposed to experience?
Yeah, Eastern. It's very cold here. I'm jealous of you.
Yes, it's hot over here and it's beautiful. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's beautiful out. Thank you so much for joining.